So for question 23, it says write a simplified algebraic expression. So algebraic expression just means you're going to have an x or x's in your answer, so that's not a big deal. That's equal to this mess of stuff. So remember, the arc is the same thing as inverse, if that makes it look any easier. Those are completely the same thing. And when we did inverse functions, it was not uncommon for them to have more than one layer to the question like this. So this cotangent out front, we just kind of deal with that at the very end. We don't worry about that up front. And then for inverse trig functions, they really fall into one of two categories. Either the ratio is a ratio from the unit circle. 3x is not a ratio on the unit circle. You think of it as a fraction, 3x over 1. And so if it wasn't unit circle, then you needed to sketch a triangle. So inverse cosine had a range that we had to memorize. It was 0 to pi, which tells me that I need to sketch my triangle in either the first quadrant or the second quadrant. If the cosine was something negative, I'd put it in quadrant 2, because cosine's negative in quadrant 2. But this is positive 3x, so I should put it in quadrant 1. So when I sketch my triangle, putting it in quadrant 1 is the one that's going to help us get the signs correct. So then we could do Sohcahtoa. Cosine is always adjacent over hypotenuse. And so essentially what we did here is we just made a visual. This is saying the angle that has a cosine of 3x, and here I drew it. This angle has a cosine of 3x because his adjacent to his hypotenuse is 1. Now, to finish the question, you just want to know what's the cotangent of this angle. Cotangent is adjacent over opposite. We already have the adjacent to that angle. We just need the opposite. And like any other time this year, we need third side of a right triangle. Go with Pythagorean theorem. So it looks like this side is the square root of 1 minus 9x squared. Okay, so I would start to compare the answers here. Now on your final exam, some of it will be multiple choice, so your answer could look like this, or we may choose to rationalize it. So multiply the top and the bottom by that square root. So it could look like either one of these two. So yes, you have to know the range of the inverse trig functions. That might be a good thing to throw on your note card. But once we had the triangle set up, then it was pretty familiar. Sohcahtoa to know where to put the side lengths, Pythagorean theorem to get the third side length, Sohcahtoa again to figure out how to find cotangent, and then we just put them in place as Sohcahtoa says.
Can we get one of these?